Welcome back to CEO Money. I'm Michael Yorba. Thanks for joining us. All right, we've got Seth Farbman, Chairman, Esignature Guarantee, on the show with us now. Seth, welcome to the show.
So much for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, my pleasure. Seth, you've got a career in serving private and public companies, and you were the co-founder and president of Vintage Filings, and you also sold to PR Newswire in 2007. So,
That's it. Yep.
did I miss something there on the?
No. That's back. It's been a couple years ago, but yeah, we had a great success story, and we had an opportunity to sell that to PR Newswire.
All right, now tell me what led you. Well, first off, tell everybody what eSignature Guarantee does. What led you to bring this to the market, and where we're going to go with it.
Sure. It's a great question, and so my background is by training as a securities attorney.
Well,
So we
come back
created
into the
Vintage
phone.
Filings, which was an SEC filing company, and when we sold that, got into the stock transfer business, where essentially we work with hundreds of publicly traded companies or private companies that are going public, and we work on their stock transfers.
Okay.
And so we were sort of in the driver's seat to see some of the challenges that were within the industry. One of them being that when someone wanted to transfer their stock, or inherited stock for that matter, they needed to get a medallion guarantee, which for any of the audience that isn't familiar with it, is essentially a security stamp that shows that you are who you say you are.
Seth, keep the phone in the same position. You're fading in and out. I want to hear everything you're saying because this is good stuff. Keep talking.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. And so basically, this medallion presented itself as a challenge.
Okay.
And a medallion, for those of you that don't know, is essentially they have to go to a bank and prove that they are who they say they are. They would get this stamp, and then that would allow them to process the paperwork to transfer stock.
Okay.
Well, the challenge, Mike, is that the banks have stopped doing it or have limited their services, and so we found that shareholders were literally stuck with nowhere else to go to prove that they were who they were and to get this medallion stamp. And so we said, there's got to be a better way. Let's come up with a technology-based solution, and that's how eSignature was born.
Talk to me about your market, where you're going with it, the people that are already adopting this new, because I've gone to places to have, a notary, and it's just a pain in the butt. You're solving all kinds of problems with this.
We definitely like to think we are, and it's interesting that you say that because essentially the way I like to describe it is that a medallion is a notary on steroids.
There you go.
Because as a medallion stamp provider, we're actually taking on the liability if there is fraud. So you asked a great question in terms of the audience. What I love about it is that it's really any shareholder out there. I mean, our client base is transferring stock that they have, whether it's Snapchat, Verizon, and Starbucks, to their 401k plan or their IRA plan. When they're transferring securities, they need this medallion, and we'd like to think we're really solving a void within the industry.
How do they get the medallion? I mean, is this an app? Is it an online thing that we go through their computer? How does this work?
Yeah, and so as I mentioned, typically somebody has to find a bank that does it. And sometimes they would have to travel half hour, an hour, wait online, and by embracing the technology that we put together, it's literally just all online. They don't have to leave the comfort of their home. We've partnered with HelloSign to accept digital signatures. So we're the first, and as far as I know, only online portal that's licensed by the stamp industry to provide this medallion product.
Is it only domestic, or can you do international transactions with this?
That is a very good question. So at this point, it is all domestic because our technology, which will mine the public databases to verify someone's ID, is tied to a social security number. And so currently it's domestic. We've been working with programmers for about a year. We hope to launch in January to be able to accommodate the foreign markets, specifically starting in Canada, Israel, and China, where we think the need is the greatest.
If you're in front of an investment banking company right now explaining this, give me an idea of the market size that you're penetrating. Since you're first to market, obviously, the world is your oyster. But let's go down that road for a second.
It's an unknown, right? Because we are entering a market where, like you said, Nobody's ever done this before. And so in terms of, what I would say to an investment banker is we know that there are hundreds of thousands, perhaps more of people who are utilizing these stamps, and the method historically that they would go to get it through the banks is now no longer necessarily available to them. And so really there is no other solution, and we think that we'll be able to benefit both the shareholders and the investment community, as well as the issuers, because at the end of the day, they want their investors to be happy.
What are the biggest hurdles to or barriers to entry from, let's say, because the hardest thing to do is convince a securities company that they're going to use your service. Customers are going to be different, but what's the biggest barrier to entry here?
Well, our focus is really on individual shareholders. So by doing such, it's brought about funds, and some of the largest transfer agencies in the country have really started referring all of their shareholders to us, because again, at the end of the day, in the capital markets, if somebody wants to transfer stock, they want to gift it, they want to leave it as an inheritance, there's going to be a need to facilitate that transaction. And so if we are able to accommodate that process, then it benefits both the issuers and the investment bankers, and ultimately the end user.
So in essence, what you just told me, that barrier to entry, that wall that everybody has trouble with, just melted away in front of you if you're already getting those introductions.
Yeah, I mean, I've always found in some of the businesses that I've run, whether it's as a stock transfer agent with VStock or to other experiences, is that if you come up with a solution and somebody says to you, "Oh, well, that must exist because that makes the most sense," then you're always onto something. And so, why not embrace the regulation and the compliance and combine it with technology for what's called a reg tech solution? And that's what we've tried to accomplish.
Okay, what about people investing in your company? Because this is a amazing what you've done.
Well, I appreciate the enthusiasm. As you can tell, I'm very passionate about it as well. So far, we have not taken any outside investors. We're self-funded, but in the technology world, capital is always king. So we'll see how that progresses.
All right, we've got to wrap it up real quick. Contact info for our listening public.
Absolutely. So anybody can go online. It's eSignatureGuarantee.com. I know it's a mouthful, but eSignatureGuarantee.com.
Great. Seth, thanks so much for being on the show. I can't wait to see how this one takes off. I know it's
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity. Have a great day.
You too. Seth Farbman, Chairman, eSignature Guarantee. Thanks for listening. You've been listening to CEO Money with Michael Yorba, your host. It's brought to you by Tycon Partners.